Hey guys, Prof Sales coming at you with a video. And today is February 22nd, 2017. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Let me kill my volume here. Hey, there we are live on the World Wide Web, the interweb, as they call it. How's everyone doing? It's hump day, right? It's the middle of the week. So today, got a bunch of things to talk about. Haven't seen you guys for a few days, so we'll get into that. What all is going on? Hopefully, you guys can hear me all right. Let me know. I'm sure you can, but I always like to check just to make sure. Hey to everybody in the chat so far. People are filing in, and that is cool to see. Valina Hunley, I know you got in touch with Ginger, so that was cool. She told me she got in touch with you, so awesome. Glad you guys made that connection. Some other people here. Chicago Crown Hustler in the room. Large Bargain. Mr. Body Oil. Henry, that name, man. I don't even know what that means. Lauren's in the room. A Purple Lily. Michelle, what's up, everybody? So good time here on the channel. I've got a little congestion going on, so I'm trying to get rid of that. Chris in the house, Camila, Brandon, what's up, man? Everybody's coming in. This is going to be a good day. So, hello from South Carolina, Paula B. You were just right down the road. South Carolina is literally 5 minutes that way, if even 5 minutes. It is not far at all. So, pretty cool. Resale Junkie says they've been stalking me for a while. Nice. I enjoy a good stalking every once in a while. It's not bad. All right, so first things first, you will notice my wonderful co-host not here. Karen is out of town still, dang it. She is actually working in somewhere in the Midwest. Gosh, I can't remember. I want to say Nebraska. But she is not here, so she will not be here today, so sorry about that. But I am here, so hey, we're going to make do with me. You get stuck with me for a day. Couple housekeeping things you may or may not know. Tonight, I will be on the Bonafide Hustler Show on his channel on YouTube, here on the tube of you. And we're going to talk about eBay a little bit. We're going to talk about mastering it. So first I need to master it, I guess, before I start talking about it, right? So that would probably be a good thing to do. We're going to be talking about eBay tonight. That show goes off, I think, at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you haven't already subscribed or checked out Chris's channel, the Bonafide Hustler, check that out. Chris puts out a tremendous amount of talent. He's one of the green room admins. He's been in the reselling game for quite a while now and in this community for a long time. And he's a good dude. And so we're going to be talking a little eBay, and I think Raiken's going to be there as well. So it should be an interesting conversation. Always is with both of them. And it's always good to get around people, I think, who are like-minded. And it's inspiring to be around them. You can learn from them. You can be supported by them. You can support them. And Chris and Steve have definitely been two people that fit those categories for me. So 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'll be over on Chris's channel, The Bonafide Hustler. Let's see. Let me look at my list here. What else do I have? All right. So also tomorrow night, we will be having our very own Avalos. I'm not sure I'm saying that correct. It's either Evalos or Avalos. I'm not really sure which he prefers. Maybe they're both right. But Chris, he is a Rebel of Reselling member. He's been on this channel for quite a while. And he is going to be on our next installment of Connect. Now, this is going to be pretty cool, guys, because Chris has – all right, so here's the takeaway. This is tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, Thursday night, Eastern Standard. Chris has been a reseller for 30 years. He got with, I believe, sports cards, And I know he does a lot of collectibles and things like that. He also does some art as well. He is an artist. And he's going to be here. We're going to do like a brief intro, but he's really going to be here, guys, to take your questions. So Chris is a wealth of knowledge about reselling, even pre-eBay, pre-Amazon. So you guys bring your questions tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You know, and he's got a wealth of knowledge about collectibles, about toys, about, I think video games as well, sports memorabilia and things like that. And I'm looking forward to that. He's also a member of our community and has been a great supporter of this channel and just helping people tremendously every day on Facebook and so on with their questions. And so tomorrow night, we're just going to make it about him. You know, I was going to do an interview / whatever, and I decided, you know what? It would be so good just to pick his brain. And so bring your questions tomorrow night for Chris. It'll be fun. So we'll be on at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night with Evalos. All right, what else we got here? I'm flying through my topics. I need to slow down. Somebody slow me down. 73 people on the show. Thank you guys for that. I got a couple things I want to talk about, including the show topic. So we'll settle in for that. I'll show you some results for February too, guys, because we haven't done much results in the last week or so. So you guys know I was sick all the week before, and then Karin got sick, and it was just a big thing, you know. And I still feel like I've got some of it, whatever it is. It was just a cold, but man, it's hung on. So we're going to talk about a couple things. I want to talk about something that's been weighing heavily on me over the past few weeks, and I haven't brought it up before, and I got mixed emotions about bringing it up now. And it's kind of tough to put like my finger on exactly what the subject is, but I guess the best way to say it is there's an awful lot of negativity that I get exposed to each day in this reselling community. And let me explain what I mean by that. I don't mean negative, and this is negativity directed at content creators on YouTube, Facebook, whatever. Not just coming from viewers and subscribers and people watching, but also coming from other YouTube content creators. And you know, I'd like to sit here and tell you guys that it's not so much directed at me. By the way, let me make that perfectly clear. It's not really. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me, because this is not coming at me. It's coming at lots of other people from lots of other directions. And you know, I've hesitated to say anything about it because I know that when you put yourself out there on YouTube, you open yourself up to scrutiny. You're opening up your life, your business, your personality, everything you say, everything you do that you put out there, and even things you don't say and you don't do, people are going to have a comment. And I get that. And I'm okay with that. Like, I like that. That's a part of why I do this channel, because I like the interaction. But there comes a point when that interaction crosses some lines and people start going after one another. And it kind of concerns me, because I've kind of gotten pulled in the middle of some situations as of late. And you know, as you guys know, in your personal life, not even when you're online, but your personal life, when you get pulled between two people or groups of people, and you're friendly with this group and you're friendly with this group, it can be difficult. Like you kind of feel like you're walking on eggshells around both of them. And I gotta say that I'm not a fan of it, guys. I mean, I know there are plenty of resellers who are exaggerating, sometimes say something's incorrect. They rub people the wrong way. They have a style that certain people don't like. I get it. You know, I mean, there's always going to be that. There's always going to be people who see me and like, I don't like that Prof Sales guy. Like, he is this, he is that. I don't like how he does this or he doesn't do that. I get that. And that is perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay if you disagree with me. It's perfectly okay if you don't like my style. It's perfectly okay if you don't like my channel. If you don't like my business model, fine. I don't have to justify it to you, really. But there's a difference between saying, you don't like my style or my channel or my business model, and then you attacking me. And, I see this happening to other people in the reselling community. And guys, it comes off as so petty. It's so petty. And I was talking with somebody earlier today, and we both agreed it comes from a place of a feeling of inferiority, a feeling that you're not measuring up to some standard or to someone else a lot of times, that they're doing it maybe better than you. They're doing it a different way than you that seems better than you. And you're either jealous, you're fearful that you're not correct in what you're doing, and that manifests, you seek to tear them down, you seek to attack them, to attack them personally, not just their business. I mean, you guys are free to do whatever you want to do. Obviously, you're all individuals and you have your own free will and conscience and so on. But I would ask you to consider that if you're on another channel and you're in a chat or you're in another group, a Facebook group or whatever it is, and that sort of commentary breaks out, I would ask you to think twice before you engage in it. I absolutely would not tolerate that here on this channel. If someone was doing that, I would either block them, delete them, keep them from posting on the channel. Because even if they're right, even if what they're saying is true, how does it advance? How does it advance the agenda of this channel, which is to help people engage in this community, to become better at this craft of reselling and entrepreneurship? How does that help? Like, I don't understand that. That's what gets me. It doesn't do me any good to go tear someone else down. It does nothing for me. Nothing for me. And what's interesting is a lot of people, or some of the things I've heard recently, people will say, well, so-and-so is this or so-and-so is that, but I'm not really talking bad about them. Well, you just did. When you put them down and you called them a name, or you said that, they suck, basically, you put them to, you are engaging in it, and it's coming in from content creators. Guys, I have no patience nor time for that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I love everybody in the reselling community, because honestly, I don't know everybody in the reselling community. I've met precisely 3 people in person from this community. 3. Oh, and Tiffany and James and Luke, who live near me. I've not met any of you guys. I've not spent tremendous amounts of times around them. So I just don't have any patience for it, guys. I don't think it has any place. And, I definitely don't put up with it here. And I would ask everybody to consider, don't engage in that. It doesn't, I put it on my Instagram today. I said, when you fling mud at someone else, you both get dirty. And that's the truth. You both end up dirty. It doesn't just stick to them. It sticks to you too. So I don't really understand any reason for it. And, I hope that if you guys ever see me or hear me say anything that sounds like that, feel free to say, Prof, practice what you preach, man, because you're not living up to it. I have no problem with you saying that. And it can happen. I could slip and have a moment of weakness. But I just want to get that off my chest. Again, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody in this. I was very careful not to implicate anybody with anything specific, because it's not really a specific person or persons I'm thinking about. It's just been a lot of things that have happened over the last, month or so that have got me thinking about it. So anyway, let's move on. Daily soapbox over. All right. Show topic. Okay. So let's talk about this topic, guys. Where's my note? making enough profit on eBay. Now I'm going to share something on my spreadsheet with you guys that I don't normally share, and hopefully that'll help illustrate this topic of this show today. Because I've been thinking about this idea that, you know, what's enough profit to make on an item? All right, because there's different models out there. There's, you know, there's the bins model, like you go and you buy a lot of merchandise at a really low cost. You try to flip it fairly quickly, but not for a huge amount of money because it's probably, you want to get sell through and so on. There's the look for home runs that you can still buy at a cheap price, but it'll sell for a high amount, but it might take a while, you know, sort of the the fast nickel, slow dime approach. There's these different models, but I want to give you guys some insight into what I do when I think about, should I pick up an item and buy it or not? Is it worth my time, given what I will get out of it? So I'm going to share some numbers with you guys, but I want you to think about a couple things first. I want to talk about a couple quick definitions. When I sell jeans, I consider jeans to be a commodity. What do I mean by commodity? Now, it's not really a true commodity, I guess, but I consider them a commodity in the sense that they're very simple. They're simple to list. They're simple to photograph. I can repeat my process over and over with them because not a lot changes. Like if you list one pair of jeans, you can list another pair. They're not complex from one to the next. It's not like you have to really rethink your listing process or your sourcing process that much. And they're readily available. So they're repeatable, simple, and readily available. And that's one of the reasons I love them, because I know I can go and get X amount of supply and it's going to turn into Y amount of profit down the road. And I consider them a commodity. And when you have a commodity type item like jeans, and there's lots of other commodity items out there, especially in clothing, you can come up with really good guesses for how much it's going to cost you to get X number of items. There's a mailman outside. No returns, mailman. Whew, nothing. All right, nothing in the box. We're good. When you have a commodity type item, you can figure out really easily how much it's going to cost you to buy 10 of them or 100 of them, because they're going to be around the same price. You can figure out how much time it's going to take you to list these items, to photograph them, to pack and ship them, what sort of questions you're going to get. And you can also figure out really easily kind of what your profit spread is going to be, what kind of profit margin you're going to be looking at, because you can get an average sale price really easily and say that, well, you know, 75, 80% of my jeans are going to sell within this range of prices. And then I'm going to have some at the top and some at the bottom. But it's easy to do that. And that's why I love jeans. A commodity type item is different than, say, one-offs. Like, for instance, Ronnie, you know, a month or two ago found a Ralph Lauren teddy bear sweater, you know, the ones that have the big teddy bear on the front. And I think he sold it for like, I might be getting the amount around like $700 or $800, which was a great find. But he's not going to find 50 teddy bear sweaters this month, right? Because there just aren't that many of them out there. And, you know, it's one of those things you're going to run across once in a while, and you're going to do tremendous on it when you do. But if you tried to build a business model around just finding Ralph Lauren teddy bear sweaters, you would struggle because there just aren't that many of them out there to find. And so those are kind of like one-offs. And you can find a lot of one-offs in a lot of different categories. So you kind of got commodity type items and one-offs. P-Wing Polo. That's what it was. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name of it. I've obviously never found one. Ronnie keeps finding mine before I get to him, dang it. But so one-offs, commodities, different ways of looking at it. And we've talked about that concept before. But here's what it comes down to for me, and this is kind of the show topic. All right, so, and Ronnie has more of a one-off model, probably. I mean, he looks in blazers and men's shirts and certain other brands, certain other unique items. But he's not what you would probably call a quantity reseller, because he's not going to go buy 150 shirts and list them in 2 days. Just not his business model. Nothing wrong with it. It's not a right or wrong answer. It's just different. So, but here's the question, guys. Whatever model you come up with, whether you're selling commodities, one-offs, a mixture of both, you have to decide if an item, when you pick it up and you've got an idea what it's worth and you know how much time it's going to take to sell and you know how much you're going to spend and how much time and energy it's going to take to list it and photograph it and ship it and all that good stuff, is it worth it? Is it worth it? The question shouldn't be, to me, the question shouldn't be when you pick up an item is, can I make a profit on it? Okay? That's not really the question for me. That's not really the question I ask. I think the question should always be, can I make a profit that is acceptable for the amount of time and energy and capital I have to put into it? I think that's the real question. Because, you know, it goes back to this idea of not every dollar is equal. And I've given this example numerous times on this channel, but if I told you I'm going to pay you $1,000 to work for me, should you do it? Would you do it? Depends on what you got to do, right? And it depends on how long. If I'm only going to make you work for 1 hour, you'd probably do it. That's a great hourly rate. On the other hand, if it's going to require 1,000 hours of work, you probably wouldn't do it. That's $1 an hour. So it's not just how much money you can make, it's how much you got to spend to make it, and then how much time and energy you got to put into the product on the back end in terms of the listing and photograph, and how long you're going to have it potentially. You know, for instance, let's say you could buy an item for $1,000 that was going to make you $10,000 when it's sold. That's a good profit. It's a 10x, you know, great margin. But suppose it'll take 10 years to sell. Suppose you knew that somehow. Like you had, maybe you looked on eBay, you went back through WorthPoint and found out one of these sells every decade, whatever it is. Would you still do it? I probably wouldn't do it. Like I would look at it as I could take that $1,000 over that 10-year period and turn it into much more than $10,000. So again, it's not the amount of money, it's the amount of money you'll make given the amount you got to spend and the amount of time and energy you got to put into it. So let me show you guys a hard example of this. Let me pull up the spreadsheet and show you what it looks like with jeans. I'll give you an idea. Let's see if I can get my screen share going. So we can see this in action. All right, so this is my jeans numbers for January and February this year. So you see here, I have the start of the month listed. I have 995 jeans listed on eBay. And I'm not going to go into how I have all these numbers. They're not that complicated to figure out. I've sold 110 so far, list 117, sell through 94%. But here's what we really want to look at. Those jeans on average have sold for $17.61 with $7.78 in shipping income. My shipping usually ranges either $7.50 to $8.50. I've been moving towards $8.50 with everything. My average cost of goods was $4.59. My average fees is $3.30, and my average shipping cost is $6.50. A little higher than $6.30. $6.30 is what it cost me with a padded flat rate, but simply because I have some jeans that I will have to ship somewhere else that are too big to fit in a padded flat rate, I added a 20 extra cents. So my net per jean before, now this is after all eBay fees and cost of goods and shipping and so on, is 11 bucks. Now, you can argue whether that's a good amount or not, but I look at it this way. Here's how I break this down. I'm going to spend $4.59, okay? And by the way, that number is going to drop to $3.50 probably over the next month or two, just because I'm starting to get a lower and lower cost of acquisition for jeans. And I've been pushing up my price too. So I think this overall number is going to go up. But let's work with what we got here for a moment. So I'm going to spend $4.59. And I know from previous record keeping that jean sales run somewhere around just over 3 weeks on average. So I'm going to tie up $4.59 of capital to net $11 pre-tax. Okay? pre-tax, pre-labor, because it's my labor, but you still got to think about labor in there somewhere. Now, is that a good amount? I don't know, but I look at it this way. I can photograph and list somewhere. Let's see. Karen's my photographer. By the time she quality controls and photographs an item, a pair of jeans, I would call and edits it. That's probably somewhere around 6 minutes has been our previous estimate. The time I list it is about another 2, maybe 2.5, maybe even 3. So let's say it's around 8 minutes to fully check in a pair of jeans, check it over, photograph it, list it, get an inventory, ready to go. All right? And there'll be a little time in the back end to pack and ship that item too. Now, I also sourced that pair of jeans, but just my listing time, let's even expand it out. Let's say it's taken me 10 minutes to do a pair of jeans from sourcing time, because I'm in a store and I'm looking through hundreds of pair and I find one, then I look through another dozen, I find another one. So everything all together, let's say it's roughly 10 minutes. I've done these calculations before, but I don't think it's any more than that. So if every 10 minutes I can sell a pair of jeans, that means if you take this number, if you divide 10 minutes into 60 minutes, this number times 6 is my hourly rate selling jeans before taxes or before labor cost. 6 times 11 is $66 an hour. Is that a good hourly rate? I don't know. I mean, it's a good hourly rate, I think. I mean, there's obviously some more expense that comes out of that with taxes and so on. And if I was paying someone to list and photograph those jeans, which, that would be at least another $2 out of that probably. You could even throw in sourcing out of it, maybe even another $1. Now you're down to $8 net before tax. But I think for a commodity-based item, I feel like a $66 an hourly rate is pretty good. Now, it didn't used to even be this high. Like, if you go back and look at some of my videos from like earlier last year, I estimated my hourly rate at lower than this. And that was mainly because I was not getting as cheap as sourcing costs. I was not pricing quite as aggressively, and I was not as efficient at my process. I've gotten more efficient. I found cheaper source, and I've started finding, I've started pricing a bit higher on my average sale price. So all those things have pushed this number up. But that's how I think you got to think about it, guys. I think when you're going through this process of deciding if something is worth selling or not, I think that's what you should do. I think you should say, all right, now I'm not saying you got to do that with every single item you take, but let's say you go out to a store and you look something up you've never sold before, and you see that it'll bring you a $5 profit. Is that good? I don't know. If you're going to put some time and energy into it, right? So you're going to spend some amount of money to spend, because here's the thing, guys, because everybody says, oh, I'm just going to make $5 profit on that. But you have to put time into it. That's what gets me. It's like, once you found it, that's your initial time. That's your sourcing time. That was the time it took you to source that item, but you still got a listing time, a photography time, maybe a research time, a packing and shipping time. Your time is what is the big important commodity here, not how much money you're going to make. It's a time versus money and energy argument. And with commodity type items like jeans, that hourly rate is always going to be lower than you can make on, say, like the P-Wing sweater like Ronnie found. There's no way that I'm ever going to sell jeans and make that kind of hourly rate. I mean, that's not possible. But I can replicate it. I can sell hundreds of pair of jeans a month. I can find hundreds of pair of jeans a month. I can store hundreds of pair of jeans a month with no real big issue. So there are advantages and disadvantages to it, okay? So you've got to take into account, like, what is your time worth? I think that's really where this argument goes, is what is your time worth? If you're okay making $1 or $2 profit on an item for the how many ever minutes it's going to take you to source and photograph and list and store and pack and ship that item, then do it. I can't sit here and tell you your calculation is wrong and mine is right. What I know it works for me. Like, I'm comfortable with that hourly rate for jeans. I think it's good. Do I think everybody's going to have that same number? Nope, because your sourcing costs may be different. Your supply may be different. Your processes are going to be different. Your knowledge is different. So some could be higher, some could be lower. Like my buddy Luke, he likes to find only the home run jeans. I mean, he doesn't like to, he's not going to go and sell, Levi 505s for 18 bucks. I mean, he's looking for a pair of jeans brands that will sell for 30 bucks or 40 bucks or even 50 bucks. And there's nothing wrong with that, but he's pricing his hourly rate time for jeans much higher. Consequently, he's not going to find as many as me. So at the end of the day, which is right? There's no right or wrong on it. There's just different ways of looking at it. So I think you have to kind of look at all those factors when you're deciding whether you want to sell something or not on eBay, whether it's profitable. Don't just look at the dollars, look at the time and energy you got to put into it. And can you replicate it potentially? Because man, if it's a great item, this is why the wholesaling model works so well. You're not going to make as much margin on a wholesale item. It's going to be lower for the most part, but you can replicate it over and over, and it becomes very robotic and simple. You don't have to go out there and search through 500 pair of jeans to find 15 pair. You can just order, bring in, pop in the listing, quantity count, done. You can use the same packing and shipping. Anything you can do like that to automate the process increases your efficiency, which increases your hourly rate. So that's why wholesaling is a great model, because if you can get those type of opportunities, you can just replicate it over and over and over. And yeah, you're not making as much on any one item, but because you can do so many items in a shorter time frame, you can still earn a really good hourly rate. So anyway, just want to share that with you guys. Hopefully that made sense. It made sense in my head. Hopefully when I said it, it made sense too. Let's see what questions are here. Info Break Solution said, if I missed your questions, guys, please repeat them, because I was not looking at the chat when I was over on the spreadsheet, by the way. So please just retype them. Just type question marks. What if your jeans are not moving? Well, if they're not moving, Info Break, then you need to look at certain aspects of it. Is your pricing in line? Are your photos good? Do you have good keywords on them? Have you filled in item specifics? Are you selling brands that have good sell-through and good fits and sizes? All those factors are part of it. There's no reason I should be able to sell at a higher rate than you. The only difference is just whatever our knowledge levels are and our execution is. But it's not like I have some magic formula to sell a pair of jeans better than somebody else. I'm using the same tips and tricks that I've been taught. I didn't come up with them. So look at all those things. Let me get some water, guys. What's up, Chris? 10K on the Bay. Man, I like that name. I got to admit, I do like that name. Excuse me. Do your sales for jeans decrease in the summer months? They do somewhat, Megan, and I'm kind of planning for that with some other factors and things that we're looking at. But clothing in general, for like winter clothing, will definitely, long sleeves and pants, it does tend to slow down in the summer somewhat. People just aren't looking at it the same way. That's why I recommend using global shipping, because in other parts of the world, it's winter when it's summer here in the northern hemisphere. So that's important. That can help you a little bit. What do you do when you go on vacation? I relax. What do you do? Oh, you meant with my business. Oh, well, you can put your store on vacation. You can put it in vacation mode if you want. Basically, you can just tells people that, hey, you'll be back, but it'll be at this date. So if somebody wants to buy something, great. It's not going to get shipped out for a few days. Will you take less? Says you're better off with stock than money in the bank. It's okay. I have no idea what that comment's talking about. Will you? So I'm gonna let that one sit there and just I think I missed part of that conversation. So would you also say the beginning, get the numbers in your store? I'm not sure I understand that question, Giselle. If you can re-ask that. Hello, everyone in the dynamic duo. No dynamic duo today, Terry. Karen, unfortunately, is not here. Let's see. Josephina says, do you wash the clothes you buy? Nope. Big waste of time and energy, if you ask me. I think if you buy correctly on the front end, you can get a good pair of, that you don't have to wash. Hello. So you don't. Hey, Ben. Say hello to YouTube, Ben.
Hello, YouTube.
The teenager has arrived. Do you wash clothes you buy? I mean, I just think it's a big waste of time. I would just buy ones that don't need to be washed. I wouldn't buy something. I mean, unless it's really good, and there's some other reason to buy it. We tend not to buy them if they need to be washed, quote unquote, if they're just got some real big issue with them. But totally up to you. Premium store or basic? Premium in my case, Joseph, because I'm doing enough without 1,000 listings a month to earn, that fee discount. So that offsets the cost of the store. So I end up coming out ahead. I think 1,000 fees would be 1,000 listings listed and sold in a month would be what for insertion fees, or is it final value fees is the one you get the discount? I can't remember, but it would be like $200 and the store is like 60. So you come out to the good. That's just my thought on that. 109 people watching, guys. Thank you guys for that. Please smash the like button. As Karen said, I can't do it as well as her. It's not even close. And I certainly can't do a Mae West impression. But if you're liking the content, please hit the like button. Lets me know I'm doing a good job. Lets YouTube know I appreciate it. Show some love, as Steve Raiken likes to say. Let's see. David Lombard asks, can you talk about reviews? Did you notice a big jump in sales once you crossed the 100 review mark, the 500? Are you talking about feedback, David? I kind of have this theory now that feedback is not as important as it used to be on eBay, but I can't prove that, so don't take that as a gospel. But I don't know. I mean, it certainly is not going to hurt you to have positive feedback, and the more of it you have, the better. I've been watching some videos, guys, of BHFO, which is the biggest clothing seller on eBay, and they do like $40 million a year gross. That's insane. But if you guys get a chance, go to YouTube, search BHFO, and look at some of the videos they do. I mean, they have a massive operation. And they talked about in one of their videos about passing over like it might be like the 1 million feedback mark or something crazy like that. I don't know if it was 1 million, it was 100,000. It was something insane. And, it just gives the buyer a little more confidence when they see like you've got all this positive feedback. It probably is worth some percentage of sales. Like I think it's probably a fraction of a percent, honestly, but I don't have any way to quantify that, so I don't know. Let's see, what else we got here? Do you get any more of a boost in search for having premium? I don't think so, Joseph. eBay says, I believe eBay's official line is you don't, but again, I have a sneaky suspicion that maybe you do. but I really don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe someone else can know. We want Mae West. Basin Trader says, check the prices on some jeans. There are folks out there listing Levi's and cinches at $7.99. What are your thoughts on lowballing prices hurting the market? I mean, people can price it however they want. It's not up to me to create somebody else's pricing strategy. I think people who continually price that low run the risk of cutting themselves so short on profit that they're going to struggle to stay in business doing that unless they're just getting virtually a free supply, which is not true for a lot of people. But if you want to go out and sell jeans at $8, I think you're leaving a lot of money on the table. I think all those people could double their price and not hurt their sell-through at all. Potentially, I mean, assuming that they still have good pictures and good description and good keywords, and they're coming up in the search, yeah, that was sorry guys, that was BHFO, which is their kids' initials, the B and the H, the couple that started in their garage. Their kids' initials, and the FO stands for factory outlet. So, when you do the multiple listing in one listing, is that considered one listing or more? Yeah, it's just one listing. VHF. Sorry, guys. BV Baker, Hawkeye, Frank, Ortega. I don't know. What's the O? I'm trying to think of military terms for the letters. I don't think I got any of those right. How does Faded Glory sell? What is it with Faded Glory and people in these YouTube chats coming in talking about Faded Glory? Every time I get, man, if you can sell Faded Glory jeans for $100, more power to you. Because they don't go for that new. I mean, that's a Walmart brand. It may even be an in-house Walmart brand now that I think about it. Yvonne said she had to open a case against BHFO. Ooh, nice. Yeah, I wonder about that. Like, you'd think if you're doing that kind of volume, and BHFO does like tens of thousands of sales, like items a month. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, they have a huge setup. I mean, it's like 240,000 square foot distribution center out in the middle of Iowa. Pretty cool story though. But, and I'm not saying you want to be BHFO, but you can learn things from those bigger sellers. Like, you can take their mindset and their processes and scale it down to what you're doing and just be really efficient with what you're doing. If you're really efficient, you're going to make more profit. That's the definition of efficiency. You know, it allows you to do things quicker, easier, that result in a more profitable operation. No reason not to, right? Let's see, what else we got here? I'm looking at the questions. Let's see. Too much volume, things get sloppy. Not all employees are diligent, you know. Yeah, and that's a great point Yvonne makes about, you know, when you start pushing through volume, and even if you're going to notice that in your own business, I think it's just this idea that you're going to, I mean, when you try to do a lot of volume, that comes with its own set of challenges. I'm not saying it's not doable; it's absolutely doable. But when you're a one man or one woman show, or even two people, you're really going to struggle to do certain things with that. I mean, just packing and shipping. There's been a couple mornings like when Karin and I would have like, I think there was one morning we had like 35 items to pack up. It was maybe over a couple days. It wasn't all in one day, but it's back in the fall. Man, that took a while. I mean, that took a while. And it actually, you know, it took up a good amount of space. That was before we had our tables. So just doing that kind of volume even creates some new complexities, you know, and you need a little bit more space and a better system and process. So those are all things to think about when you get, you start getting into volume. Bravo, Hotel, Foxtrot, Oscar. I like that. Do you like bins on shelves for non-gene items, inventory storage? Yeah, I'm going to probably talk about inventory a little bit, Terry, on Bonafide's show tonight. I think that's an area where a lot of people make some mistakes in their eBay business. They don't come up with a good inventory system right off the bat or pretty early on, and you'll regret that. I promise you, because at some point you're going to lose something, and if you have the right inventory system set up, you have a real good chance of finding it. But if you don't, you have a decent chance of never finding it. And that kind of stinks when you have to disappoint a buyer. And, you know, that actually does hurt your seller rating, because when you can't fulfill an order because you're out of stock, that actually is a ding against you. So you don't want to have that happen. So coming up with some sort of a good inventory system is important, I think. I noticed before you had the tape measure and the picks for jeans, but on some you have not. Still using this method or going away from it? Kind of gone away from it, Illinois, only because I started putting those measurements in the description field of my listings. So when somebody asks that question, I can actually just look at the listing. I don't even have to go into the listing. I can see in the description field, the condition field, that these were the measurements. And I put in the item specifics. And it's usually in the title. So it's really in 3 places. But I will say eBay has told me on the phone, they love it when clothing sellers put a photo of the measurement. They do like that. It's not so much it probably pushes you up in a search or anything like that. They just like it, like if there's an issue with a buyer, or somebody says, oh, it's not as described, you've got photographic proof there that, hey, this was the measurement. And they didn't read my description or see it, and them saying that this is a 28 inseam length when it clearly shows a 30 is not correct. So something to think about. What would you say is a good number for inventory items to see daily sales? Sharon Beam. Sharon, that's a tough question. There are so many variables that go into that. I really would struggle to give you a number. Every category of items has a sell-through number, a sell-through rate, and assuming you're at least equal to the other listings on eBay, you're going to see that sell-through rate in the long run, whether it's 0.5% a day or 1% a day or 0.7% or whatever it is. So then you just think about that percentage of selling every day on average. Let's say you have 100 items and the sell-through rate is 1% a day for that category of item, with listings that look as good as everybody else's, or look as good as the ones that are selling, at least on eBay. Well, that means on average you're going to sell 1 item, but it's not going to come uniformly. Like you might take all your listings live on Monday, and then Monday you don't sell any, and then Tuesday you sell 3, and then Wednesday you sell 0, and then Thursday you sell 2. I mean, it's going to be in chunks. It doesn't uniformly go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So I would say you always got to keep that in mind. It's so hard to say what's a good number. Obviously, the more items you have, the more bait you have dangling in the water, the more chance you're going to hook a fish. So more in most cases is better. But again, it's based on so many factors. It's hard to answer that question, with 100% accuracy. Yvonne says Faded Glory did used to be a more trendy brand. Wow, really? And then this resurrected Faded Glory is now mainly just at Walmart. Yeah, it's pretty cheap, I think, even new. I have your spreadsheet inventory, just want to tweak it. Tweak away, Terry. Selling rating also hurts if Faded Glory is not in your store. All right, man. It's just getting a little too many. You might need a little time there to have a little timeout. Let's see. There we go. I noticed that the difference on waist sizes for women's jeans from what is on the tag more times than not amazes me. Yeah, and it's tricky too, Illinois, because the way the rise will change is going to determine, where that waist sits on, or where it's designed to sit. Measurements on jeans are kind of one of the trickiest things I think out there in a lot of ways. So because I get people all the time that will ask me, hey, what's the inseam on this? And I'll literally have a photograph of it, and it'll be in the item specifics. It'll be listed in the condition. And I'm like, well, it's right there. They don't get that that's what it is. We've had this inseam argument on this channel before, so I'm not going to go back to that. But inseams are, the standard, quote unquote, is to measure from the cuff to the bottom of the crotch seam. But a lot of times that will not match up with what's necessarily on the tag. So I'll just leave it at that. Prof had to go all teacher on him. You're getting famous when people start trolling the chat. Yeah, I don't think I'm famous. I think that's just the perils of being on YouTube. It's fine. I mean, there's worse things that people could be saying, I suppose. But it was just getting a little much, taking over the chat. And I know people want to read some of these comments and so on. Let's see. Those are the same. I know. What percentage of your listings are jeans approximately? Right now, quite a bit, Steve. On this account, I don't know. It's probably like 90%. It's quite a bit. And I want to talk about, before we're getting late in the hour here, guys. We got about 10 minutes left. So I want to talk about, you know, what you guys can do for March, which is right around the corner. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. Had to talk to Ben a second. I want to talk about March a little bit, guys, because it's coming up. It's right around the corner. You know, February is going to be in the books, and I posted this earlier today. But so, what are your objectives for March? And I kind of couch this question in the way that it's not about necessarily income and sales. Because sales are, you know, you guys have probably heard me say this before, sales are a result of your processes and what you do. You don't have complete control over your sales. You can't say, I'm going to make exactly this number next month. You'll miss it. You'll either be high or low. Very, very unlikely you will hit exactly that number. So, but what you do have control over are your listings and your sourcing and, you know, becoming more efficient at processes and things like that. So I guess I would say is, have you come up with objectives for March yet, which is just, you know, 6 days away, for your listing goals and your sourcing goals, which, by the way, those two go hand in hand. Because if you want to list 200 items next month and you've already got 100 of them in your house, you only need to go buy 100. You're good. On the other hand, if you want to list 200 items next month and you already have 300 in your house, you don't need to buy anything. Just list what you got. So when I say to you, hey, what are your listing and sourcing goals? You don't have to go source if you've got enough to list already. And that, man, that is such a, I swear, it's like one of these weird things where people just are struggling to, like, they just source, and they don't want to list. And I get that. Like, listing is not super exciting, but, you know, it's just one of those things where, like, you've got to realize that by not listing things, you're hurting yourself. And so I would urge you guys, like, and I don't know what the goal needs to be, but let's say you want to list 100 items next month. First, find out how much sourcing do you need to do that. Maybe you don't need to do any. Maybe you've got 100 items there. Easy way to tell, go count. Say, I got this shelf in the garage and it's got a bunch of stuff sitting on I bought and I haven't listed yet. How many items there? Oh, there's 108 items. I want to list 100 next month. I don't need to buy anything. Don't do it. List that. Deal with that. Be done with that before you move on. And we're going to be really good about doing that. I was going to show you guys. I don't know if I can show you this or not. Let me see if I can. Yeah, like, it's not going to be really great to show you this way because it's not going to make total sense. But basically what we do is we come up with a listing goal for each month, and we base it on what we sold the previous month. We figure we're going to sell at least that many again, hopefully. And then we want to add some percentage. We want to grow our listings. So we add those to that. So let's say we sell 200 a month and we want to add 100 more. We would need to list 300 items, which means we need to buy 300. And if we've already got some items left over for some reason, then those will count towards that 300 we need to buy. We don't need to buy those. We've got 50 left over, then, and we need to, you know, source 300 a month. We got 50 left over. We only need to source 250. Real simple, real easy to do. Now's the time to set those goals for March, guys. I mean, it's right around the corner. Good a time as any to do it. You got a whole week to think about it, figure it out, write it down, put it somewhere, and then you can come up with a plan to do it. If you need to go buy 100 items next month to source, then think about it. All right, well, maybe you want to do it some each week. Maybe you want to do 25 each week over 4 weeks. Maybe you want to go get them all in one fell swoop. and say, hey, I'm going to go out on Saturday and do it all. If you need to list 100 next month or 200, whatever it is, how are you going to do it? All right, I'm going to list this many this week, which will break out. I can do some this day, some that day. Break it out. Come up with a plan for it and then just execute and stick to it come hell or high water. Do your best to really stick to that plan. And it's tough. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I nail it 100% of the time, because I don't. But if you can come up with that sort of, process, I think you'll be more successful. Because if you've got money just sitting there on a shelf, it's costing you an opportunity. There's an opportunity cost. You've tied up capital. It's not going to make you any capital because it's not listed. So anyway, time for probably a few more questions before we get out of here, guys. 116 viewers, man. Thanks, guys. Hit the like button if you like the content. Appreciate it. My problem is not having the strength to tell myself no and passing up good deals. Also, when I know there are great things I can get cheap at the auction every Friday night. Here's the problem, Illinois Picker, and Mike was talking about that too, putting things in the pipeline, which I get. But if you bought things when you were out on a previous trip because they were great deals or good deals or whatever level of deal you want, why are you not listing them? They're a good deal. Like, why are they still sitting there? If they were such a good deal when you bought them, why are you not listing them? If they're still sitting there in your quote unquote death pile or just, your laziness pile, for lack of your reseller laziness, which we all have at times, and I'm guilty of it too. They were a good deal when you bought them. At least you thought they were. List them. A good deal in your house, you don't have to go anywhere to take advantage of that. You just list it and move on. To go find another one, it's one of these things where, like, I think people get so caught up in the thrill of the hunt, but they don't like the back end part where they've actually got to execute on their business plan, which is buying things is just the first part of it. Listing them and selling them are the second and third part. So you have to do those parts too, or the first part doesn't make sense. And you end up with just a big pile of crap and, a store without a lot of things listed. So anyway, Terry said, what subject did you teach? Political science. Good stuff. Totally useless degrees. Trust me. Actually, they're not useless, but they're pretty useless. Let's see. Because hoarders like to pretend they're resellers. I'm not going to go that far, Ron, and say people are hoarders. I mean, I don't really like that label anyway, because I think people can escape labels. Labels sometimes are just temporary when you're in a certain season of your life, and and once you label yourself something, it's very easy to always think of yourself as just that, and nothing more, nothing less. And I don't subscribe to that theory. I think you can become whatever you want to become, and I think you can quit doing whatever you were doing and start doing something new. It just comes down to a mindset, a change. Anyway, let's see. They can't sell if you don't list them and make money. Thrifty, you said what I said, but you just said it a lot more succinctly. So that's exactly right. Terry has a master's in accounting. Terry, you should come on and help. Well, do you have a CPA though? I was just say, you come on and help us with some accounting advice. I still am going to do a show with my accountant, by the way, guys, but we have tentatively planned for that show, the reselling accounting show, to be after tax season. So probably like late April, early May, we're going to try to do that show, just so you guys know. And he's all pumped up for it. I think you guys will get a lot out of that. But that's why you have a philosophical bent. Is that what it is? maybe that's why. Snow in Colorado. Okay. I can give Excel help and bookkeeping advice. That's cool, Terry. But you should contact me outside of the show. Maybe you can come on Connect one night. That would be cool. I love Karen. Yeah, sorry she's not here. I craft happiness. She's out doing her thing out there in Nebraska today. Keep her around. I think she's the one who keeps me around. I craft happiness. I think you've got it backwards. I don't think I'm the one making that decision. How can you tell if jeans are men's or women? This question comes up a lot, Two Shoes, and it's really not as complicated as you think. Usually the sizing, men's usually have the waist and inseam measurement like 34 by 32 or 36 by 34. Usually, that's not always the case. There are women's brands that have both. Men's pockets, the front pockets are deeper. Usually, if you're a man, you can put your whole pocket down inside them. Whereas women's pockets, if you're a man, you cannot usually get your hand all the way down in them. The back pockets are narrower, like the pockets on the butt. They're narrower on women's than they are on men's. They're a little bit wider. Most women's, I shouldn't say most women's. If a jean has stretch in it, it's probably women's. There are some exceptions, so I don't want to say forever. I mean, jeans is one of those things, like you can never say it's always this. The sizing, like women's sizes, women's usually will just have the one size. That's the start of the process. Sometimes the fit will give it away. If it has a feminine fit name, it's probably women's. Worst case, look it up on the manufacturer's website where they sell, and a lot of times that'll clue you in, because usually most manufacturers won't sell the same fit. The fit's not the right word here. More like the make. Like if they have a name for it, like dojos for 7 for All Mankind, for instance. I don't think they sell those in men's. So Mike's in the chat. Maybe he'll know that off the top of his head. But a lot of times if it's sold just in women's, or if it's a women's fit or type, it'll be women's. If it's men's, it'll be just men's. You can look up the manufacturer's website. I think it's a great resource. Always start there. The only problem with that strategy is sometimes if it's an older pair, they don't make that one anymore. But there's lots of good online resources for that. And you'll be able to tell too in some of the fits too, like if it's a flare jean, probably women's. Boot cut, could be either one. Skinny jeans, usually women's, not always. Mech 30 by 34 Oaxaca, I would bet anything that's men's. I don't see them, but that's probably men's. And if you look up that fit, that Oaxaca, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, Two Shoes, it'll tell you. Just go to the website. I think it's BKE Make Mech. I think so. I can't remember, but just look that up. Google that. Google Mech Oaxaca, and I bet you it's only going to come up with men's sizes. I have a feeling, but anyway. You think Oaxaca is women's, Mike? I thought it was men's, but honestly, I don't really sell that many mechs, so I'm not sure. I could look it up real quick, I guess. Look at the things I do for my viewers. Oaxaca. Oh. That length is long too. That's usually a men's long, but we'll see. It could be women's, actually. Let's see here. Oh, it's out of stock. Well, that's just convenient, Buckle. Oaxaca. It could be either one. No, wait. According to denimshop.com, they're selling a men's Oaxaca boot cut. I bet you that's men's. So check the pockets on it. If they're deep, you can get your whole hand down in them. Probably men's, but don't know. That's what I was seeing, Mike. See if you see anything different. But I found a website called thedenimshop.com where they were selling them for men's. And Mech's a great brand, by the way. I pick up Mech every time and never have any problem selling them. So I would pick up Mech 100% of the time. You're not going to have a problem finding it. Here they are at Nordstrom too. We'll see what Nordstrom says. Yeah, they're men's. Although it's saying on Nordstrom's site they're not available. But yeah, and men's usually have a longer front rise, usually, than women's. That's usually, you'll see that too, but front rises can vary in length so much. It's kind of hard to sit there and say that always, but But anyway, shallow pocket boot cut, 1% spandex. Wow, that could be women's then. I don't know, Tushubes. You can put them as unisex. That length is usually, I mean, a lot of women's longs inseam is just a 32. So if that's a 34 inseam on those, then that's usually going to be a man's. But 1% spandex. I'm looking at this pair on here. Huh. I honestly don't know, Tushube. It's hard to say without seeing him and being there and having the jean in front of me. So, but yeah, if it's shallow pockets and spandex, probably women's. God. Jeans, guys. This is why they'll drive you nuts because you look at them. Do you find a lot of women's with 34 inseams, Mike? I don't find that many women's with 34 inseams. I mean, I find some, but that's a lot of men's inseam will be 34 as well. So 34 inseam is a decent, you know, that's a guy who's like 6 feet tall usually, 6'1" sometimes. What are the top 3 brands you sell for men's and women's? I would say Levi's, American Eagle is good. And then it starts getting a little trickier for me in terms of quantity. 7 for All Mankind is great. Citizens of Humanity is good. AG is good. What else? Any of those really off the top of my head. I mean, there's a lot of niche brands that I really like, but those are all those 5 you're going to find a decent amount of them out there. Maybe another question or two, and then I'm going to call it a day. Mike found a 38-inch women's inseam. Good gracious. Ooh. She must be in the WNBA. Man, that's a long inseam. Women with high heels and tall get long inseams. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously, I mean, you know, society's kind of gotten a little bit taller over the last, you know, few decades in the American society at least, and I'm not sure if that's worldwide, but, you know, makes sense. The jeans are going to have to be longer too. Lucky, yeah, Lucky too. Sorry, couldn't think of Lucky. Lucky's great. Love Lucky. When you sell jeans, should they look new or fade to be successful? No, not necessarily. Not at all. I mean, people are going to start with the brand and the fit, and obviously the look is important. But, you know, sometimes people will sell crappy looking jeans and get decent money for them. I think that's harder. It depends on the jean. Like if it's a low end, very common jean, you're not going to get a top dollar price for it if it's in bad shape. I mean, very unlikely. But if it's a higher end brand, and even if it's got some wear on it, sometimes people like that. You know, they like that worn in, distressed look, even if it's more so than what came from the manufacturer. You know, it really depends. I mean, it depends on all those factors. So Page denim, yep. Another great one Yvonne brought up. Absolutely. Page premium denim. Joe's, yep, that's a good one. Not Your Daughters. Yep, those are all good. What's your favorite part of selling? I think it's not so much selling is the favorite part, not craft happiness. It's running a business. I really enjoy it. Like I enjoy all aspects of it. I mean, there are parts I like better than others, but the fact that I'm running a business, my own boss, that is so much more preferable to me than working for someone. I don't want to live someone else's dream and work for them. I'd rather live my dream. So that to me is it. Current Elliott, Rag and Bone, yep. Don't ever, someone sells on Posh, yeah. Pilcrow. I'm not sure I've found Pilcrow before, Mike. It's interesting in other parts of the country what brands are out there. I mean, I don't know what you would think like it would somewhat be distributed evenly, but it's not. It's not, you know, I mean, there's just certain things you find in certain parts of the country more than you find in other parts. Not that you can't find them, but some brands you find more in one part of the country than others, seemingly. I think that's interesting. Sorry, Karen was just texting me. She's doing well. She's having a good day. And she says, hello, I'm sure. Where did you get your work desk? We got them at Costco. These little lifetime desk. Well, I don't know if you're asking about the tables or the desk. The lifetime desk that we work on, the kind of whitish ones, that one, that we got at Costco for like 30 or 40 bucks. And then this big L-shaped desk that I have here, I got this one at Office Depot, maybe. You know, if you can find a good sale, I love an L-shaped desk. You know, there's a little tip for you guys. I mean, an L-shaped desk, to me, if you got the space for it, get it. Having that extra work surface is huge when you're manipulating product. I mean, if you're just sitting there at your computer and you're not actually working there, like you're not manipulating product and shipping and pack, probably no need. But if you need a space to work in, like to, you know, to measure things or whatever, look at things, man, L-shape's great because you get two different surfaces. You can have your computer and printer and set up in one area, and then you can have the product in another one. So is there a lot of trial and error with inventory, or does timing play a huge factor in reselling? I'm not sure I totally understand that question, Miles. Somebody just made me an offer. That's probably too low. I would probably say that, like with inventory, like what you buy, it's kind of like the old carpenter's maximum, you know, measure twice and cut once. So do your research and try to figure out what's really selling, you know, look at completed listings, look at sold listings before you buy. I mean, you're still going to buy some things that aren't great, you know, or you're going to mess up, or it's going to have a flaw or defect. But I'm saying you can cut down some of the bad buys you make, not bad buys, but just buys that aren't as profitable as you would want them to be, or it's easy to sell. And that'll help your inventory issue, because your inventory will move at a rate that's acceptable to you, and that might be different for you than it is for me. You'll sell things at a profit level that you're okay with. You'll only need to put in the amount of time that you think is reasonable. So I would say, you know, do your research up front. And I know it sucks because I know a lot of people are like, I just want to go out and buy cool stuff and sell it. You can try that. You can absolutely try that if you've got a budget, but you're going to get some duds when you do that for sure, because you're going to think something looks really awesome and cool, and you get home and it's like they're selling for $4. And you're like, huh. You know, so I mean, it happens. It's happened to all of us. So I would really do some research on the front end. How much margin should I look for when I source? If I sell for $15, under $5 is good. Well, Crystal, if you go back to the sort of the middle of this show, you'll see I talked about this very question and this idea that, well, how much time and energy are you going to put into that item? How repeatable is it? Is that important to you? You know, you're going to make some money. If you're selling for 15 and you bought it for under 5, you're going to make some profit. The question is not whether you're going to make profit. The question is it worth it for what you have to spend versus the time and energy you put into it? Can you achieve, I mean, suppose Crystal, it took you 1 hour to source, photograph, and list that item. Okay? 1 hour, let's just say, for argument's sake. And let's say you bought it for 5 exactly, and you sold it for 15. So after your fees and so on, you're going to get about, you know, let's say it was flat rate shipping and you broke even on the shipping, let's just say, for argument's sake. So after fees and so on, you're going to probably get about $13, maybe a little more than that. So you're going to make about $8 on that. But it took you an hour. It took you an hour. Now, the question becomes, is that worth it? Is an $8 an hour hourly rate worth it? Could you get more of them and get more efficient? to where now you're selling and you're sourcing and listing more than one an hour. So maybe that $8 an hour rate goes up. Can you get them even cheaper, which also increases your profit margin? Could you sell them for a little more, which increases your profit margin? Those are all factors you got to take into account. Again, it comes down to the time and energy and money you got to put into it, not just the total dollars. And that's what I think is so important for so many people, and they forget. Camille is looking for an L-shaped desk. Get one, Camilla, too, that's not hard to put together. This one was not hard to put together, but these big glass tops I got, you know, they get scratched. I mean, I've gotten a few scratches on them already. So, I mean, it looks beautiful. It's a nice looking desk, but if I had to do it over again, I'm not sure I would have gotten glass, or maybe I would have put down some sort of protective surface so the glass didn't get scratched. But L-shaped desk, I love for that reason. G-Star, yep. I have found like maybe two, Yvonne. Again, another brand, and I look for them, but I just don't find a lot of them here. The glass desk lasts forever. That's a good thing about. What's up, Lonnie? Yeah, I mean, it probably will last forever, Lonnie, but I just wish it didn't get scratched quite so easy. And I don't even know how it got the scratches it got. I'm not even sure what I did to scratch it, but I did. And it's not like big, long, huge scratch, but just a couple little places it's got, you know, a little, who knows. But anyway. Or just stick a long table beside an L shape. Yep, you could do that too, Mike. That's a good hack. Are you live every day? Well, I'm live every day, but I'm not live on YouTube every day. No. So no, you can, if you subscribe to the channel, MLKren, I'm not sure how you say it, but if you subscribe to the channel, you can set reminders and it'll tell you when I'm have scheduled a show. So really easy. It's a little bell there. You click on it and real easy. Lonnie said he's had it 4 years. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably have this for a long time. And it's sturdy. And the glass makes it heavy, which is nice because it doesn't really move too easily, which I like. You know, because there's something. Somebody bought some Levi's. Imagine that. Gotta love Levi's. Can't go wrong. Well, you can go wrong, but you can't go too wrong. Too many poker games on that desk. Sadie, let's not get that discussion started again. Poker and reselling. We're not going to talk about that one. Check out Kia. Yeah, Kia is great. Sometimes they can be a little pricier, though, if you're depending on what you get. I mean, they have some great cheap discount stuff, too. Don't get me wrong, but can I make a living selling appliance parts on eBay? Probably. Can you get enough of them, Miles? Here's a question to ask yourself, Miles. Let's say that you sell appliance parts on eBay for 6 months and you find out that your average sale is turning into, you know, you're making $10 on it. All right, well, now you just say, well, how can I sell enough $10 items to make a living? And I don't know what you need to make a living, so I can't answer that question, and can you get enough of them? And how would you do it? And how would you get them listed? And all these processes. That's where you start with, you know, all right, is this a profitable item to sell? Is it worth the time? And then you just go from there. Jeans is the same way. I like any item is that way. You don't have, you know, you could, if you can get enough of it and sell it for enough money for the amount of time and energy you're putting into it, you can make a living. You can make better than a living if you want. But I can't answer those questions for you because I don't know your setup, your sourcing, your profit margins, your time to sell. I don't know any of that. You know that. So what a sweet sound. I know, right? eBay was brilliant when they came up with that. That was smart. The cha-ching, so to speak. Yvonne got her office furniture from a thrift store. Yep, that's a great place to get it too. Might have a few dings and scratches, but so what? Still source. I just got this one because finding an L-shaped desk at a thrift store was becoming a hassle. I could not find, they either were super big, like too big. I mean, this is only a 10 by 10 room, guys. I mean, it can't be but so big. Or they were just beat all to pieces. And, that was all I was finding. And I looked for probably a good month and a half, 2 months maybe. And I just realized, I challenge you to get a cha-ching and not look. You're right, Lonnie. I don't think I can do that. That may be my hurdle to overcome. But anyway. All right, guys. Well, listen, I think that's going to do it for today. Great show today. I really enjoyed it. You guys brought lots of knowledge and questions in the chat. So thank you for that. That was awesome. Don't forget, tonight I'll be on Bonafide Hustler Show. So hopefully it will it'll be a good show. I'm sure it will be. It always is with him. What's up, King? Sorry, man, I'm getting ready to leave. But King, we should get you on the show one night and connect. So I think you got a lot to offer. I watched your channel, sir. So anyway, but leave me a comment or question down below if you like. This idea about making enough profit. You got to do. I mean, you're doing the calculation, whether you're writing it down or putting a spreadsheet, whatever. You're already doing it if you're selling. Because now the question is, what are the results of that calculation in your head or on paper? Does what you're selling make sense for what you want to achieve? And if it doesn't, then do something different. It's really just that simple. You don't have to keep banging your head against the wall. If you're selling $5 items and only making $1 on them, and that doesn't do it for you, and you can't turn the volume you need to meet your objectives, then do something different. It's just really that simple. But leave me a comment, smash that like button before you go out, guys. I appreciate it. And consider subscribing here to the big show, and that way you can get your notifications, so on. See every time I put out a video. I'm gonna try to be back on. I might be back Friday, but we'll have the Connect show Thursday night. So I'll send the links already up. You guys can put a reminder out. We're gonna have Christopher on. That's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be cool. I'm really interested to see what he got to say. 30 years of reselling. So I'm sure he's gonna have some stories. And bring your questions tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It'll be great. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday. Get ready for March, guys. It's coming, a week away. Figure out what you're going to do. Now's the time. Don't wait. And I'm sure you'll meet all your objectives and goals if you do that. All right, guys, that's going to do it for now. Take care. And this is Prof Sales saying good sales to you.